Alright, so check it out. So today I'm installing FX3D mud flaps onto the S2000. I got a set for the front and I got a set for the back also. Honestly, the reason why I'm getting mud flaps is because, you know, I have a really wide tire setup here. These are 255s on a 17x10 rim. 50 offset, 55 offset. And I noticed all here is getting chipped pretty badly, and the rear not so much, but just a little bit. So I know mud flaps aren't really the prettiest, but honestly I think I'd rather protect the paint. These are metal fenders, so they do rust. So yeah, I guess the install is pretty straightforward. Let's get started on that. All right, so the front install is pretty straightforward. You get your two mud flaps. These are 3D printed, but they're very durable type of material, and it's not hard material. It's like a nice flexible material, so that means less chipping will occur. And then for the front, you just need these washers here. So you're gonna have to turn your wheel all the way to the right when working on the passenger side. I guess it depends how wide your wheel setup is, but yeah, just remove the screw. Alright, so the logo should face the rear of the car. And there's also some adjustability here, so it allows you to set it how inward or outward you want it. So according to the instructions, we'll put the screw through the first hole, get your washer. So there's two washers. There's a flat one and a raised one. The raised one goes at the bottom, the flat one goes at the top. So we'll put the screw through here, you put the washer behind it, and then you go ahead and screw it back in. But don't tighten it all the way. Go ahead and grab your other screw. Get the raised washer and the OEM screw, same thing. Okay, so for the bottom piece, you want to make sure the flat side of this washer is touching the guard. All right. Okay, so now with the two screws in, you can adjust it, how aggressive. You can adjust the offset of the guard here. I don't want mine to stick out too much, so I think I'm gonna push it in as far as possible. I mainly just want to protect this bottom area. So once you get your position set up, you can go ahead and screw everything in. Alright, so that's one side. I think it looks good. It does stick out a bit more than I would have liked. Wanted this to look as subtle as possible. That is the furthest it can go, but I mean, it's alright. I'd rather protect the fender than, you know, not having any protection. Alright, so for the rear, they actually recommend that you remove the wheel. So let's go ahead and jack the car up and we'll remove the wheel. But it works out because I actually have this diffuser that I also want to install. So alright, so I got the rear jacked up. So the rear is a pretty straightforward install also, but it does require some drilling. But these are self-tapping screws, so you just need a drill with a star head, or you can use manpower and use a screwdriver. But yeah. First things first, we're gonna clean this with rubbing alcohol. So yeah, if you look closely, you can see all the damage the rock chips are doing. So this mud flap will protect all that area. So the rear bumper doesn't really get as many rock chips, and it's plastic, so it won't rust, but it's still a good idea to protect your paint. Alright, so grab your mud flap here. The top hole here is for AP1, the bottom hole here is for AP2. And just like the front, the logo at the bottom here should be facing the rear of the car. Alright, so go ahead and loosen this top screw here. So this is the AP1, so I'm using the top hole. Alright, so don't screw it in all the way. Alright, so the instruction says to mark this area where this hole meets up with the bumper and mark it with a marker. I'm using a washable marker here. Alright, so then grab your U-nut.
What?
And place it where you marked the line. So the flat portion goes towards the front of the car. And just make sure the holes line up, which they do, so. Alright, so next step is to grab the supplied 3M tape. Now before you install this, the instructions actually recommend that you heat up this portion here. Alright, so the instruction says to put one above the spring here. Then one kind of below. And I think I kind of mixed this up. So this longer piece goes up here. Alright, so it should kind of look like that. Okay, so go ahead and remove the tape backing here. Alright, so then grab your self-tapping screw and your drill and position the hole with the U joint here. U-nut, sorry. Alright, and let's adjust this as needed. So I want mine to look as subtle as possible, so I'm pushing this in as far as possible. Alright, that's it for this side. I think it looks pretty good. So that's the alignment I did. I pushed it all the way in. I think maybe a piece of adhesive here would have been nice. Alright, so the gap here was bothering me, so I just had an extra piece of adhesive tape and I just stuck it in between. Sits a lot better now. Double-sided tape, I meant. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So basically just repeat the steps for the other side. Yeah, I'll do that off camera. Alright, so I picked up this replica Jay's Racing rear diffuser. It is a used part, so I got some homemade brackets here to work with. Alright, so the mud flaps and the diffuser has been installed. I didn't really film the diffuser install because it was a pain in the ass. I've honestly never installed something so annoying. Turned out pretty good, but I don't know. It is a replica, so I think that's why, but just things weren't lining up. But I guess it still turned out good. Alright, so this is how the car looks with the mud flaps and the diffuser. Diffuser looks pretty damn good.